What's going on inside this house will make your head spin.
The 5 most abysmal amateur builders in the entire country have come together to see which of them is the absolute worst. To discover who has the least skills when it comes to carpentry, plumbing, and electrical work, we're having the nominees turn the ground floor of this massive 100-year-old house into an elegant bed and breakfast. Except it isn't elegant at all. And we're opening in just 2 days. This is Canada's worst handyman.
The 5 finalists in the running to be named Canada's worst handyman were carefully selected from a pile of more than 300 submissions that came in from across the country.
It's leaking all over the place.
So believe me when I say, these candidates really are the worst of the worst.
Where's my hammer?
That's Charmaine, a florist from Thunder Bay. We've also got Casey, a police officer from Abbotsford.
Hey, where's that pipe cutter?
Joe the Bullet Barbaro from Barrie, Ontario.
Where's the X-Acto knife?
Desmond from Woodstock, Ontario.
Where's my hammer?
And Tex from Apple River, Nova Scotia.
Where's my speed square?
These folks have been working on their unique bed and breakfast rooms for the past 12 days.
Looks like
Next episode, unwitting guests will be staying in these rooms overnight.
So how many people are actually going to want to stay in your room when they see it?
You won't believe how many.
Oh, you're right, I won't.
Yeah. You'll see.
Exactly
You'll see.
right.
You'll see.
To help me decide which of these talentless renovators is the absolute worst, I'm joined by 2 experts. Rising design star Joe Alcorn and lifelong tradesman Jeff Woodmansey.
It only takes a couple of taps to set the nail, and then you want to move your hand back and drive it home.
Upstairs in our house, Jeff and Joe have a room of their own, where every day they're given the same tools, materials, and challenges as the bad handyman.
Just finished laying the subfloor. Took about 25 to 30 minutes.
Jeff laid this layer of plywood in preparation for the floor coverings he'll be installing next.
Back on day 2, the nominees for Canada's worst handyman told us exactly what kind of floor coverings they wanted to go around their showers. None of them chose this particular kind of linoleum, but we bought it because, well, honestly, our props guy had a credit card and he thought it was funny.
Technically, this product actually isn't linoleum. Real linoleum is canvas that's been waterproofed with linseed oil. The industry switched to vinyl back in the 1940s, but the word linoleum is still being mispronounced today.
Lino.
Linoleum.
While I explain how to lay a vinyl floor,
Make a giant, real template out of paper.
our expert Jeff is already doing it.
Yeah, this is just a simple template and a little bit of tape and newspaper.
When the template is the exact shape you want the vinyl, transfer it over and cut it out.
Do you have to use a lot of glue for laying linoleum?
You know, actually, if you check out the trowel, and you can see the notches.
When the notched trowel gets scraped over the adhesive, it leaves it looking like corduroy material. The gaps between the ridges will fill with glue when the vinyl is forced permanently into place with a
Rolling pin. We want to push out any air bubbles. See the glue coming out? I'm going to take my knife and just clean that up.
The expert's finished vinyl. Runs about 2 inches past their shower line. This extra strip will be covered later by the carpet.
Any questions? off you go.
Joe's seamless plan is to go.
Around the shower.
So where are you moving the shower to?
All right, we'll just leave it then.
Joe didn't ever install his shower, so he decides to haul it away.
What are you doing now?
We're gonna take it out and measure it or something.
Move.
Another smart move by the bullet man.
Without the shower to hide them, Joe's exposed pipes are kind of mocking him.
Here, hold on a sec. Joe, everything isn't about smashing it into
I'm not
place.
smashing it.
No, of course not. Joe's just leaning on the pipe. He's oddly taping the pipe.
Give it a turtleneck.
Stop! You're wasting the tape.
And he's being physically persuasive. But smashing the pipe? Joe would never do that. Before this challenge started, I told the handyman,
You're welcome to put anything down on your floor if you want to make a smoother surface.
only Tex has the common sense
Andy.
to realize that dealing with his messed up floor will ultimately save time.
So I took the hint that Andrew said. Andrew said, if you want to, you can lay flooring.
We're trying to reward effort, so I kick in to help Tex.
Dusty. It's good, though.
At least it's all gonna be level.
To make the paper templates,
We just have to trace and cut. It's pretty easy.
the handymen begin laying out their newsprint.
It's a puzzle no matter which way you slice it, eh?
Unreal.
So bad.
Canada's worst taper.
No. Actually, Canada's worst taper would be Joe.
You don't have a clue, do you?
Well, that's why I'm here.
When the template is the exact size you want the floor covering, carefully transfer the template to the stretched out vinyl.
Gentle. Hey, you didn't tape it.
You cut one piece of newspaper and you give me. And if you're just gonna chew, go away.
Desmond's vinyl is upside down, but the template he's tracing onto it hasn't been flipped over.
So you just need to turn your lino the other way.
Yep.
Desmond destroys his template without understanding his floor covering will be upside down.
Not a big deal. You're good.
As soon as people do finish their templates, they can take a break.
Regardless whether it's done or not, we're getting out of here before I blow a gasket.
After the break, Joe devises a new method for laying vinyl.
I just don't see how this is easier.
How this is easier than what?
It's linoleum day. Fun, 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 fun.
The candidates for Canada's Worst Handyman are trying to lay a waterproof floor covering around the shower stalls in their unique bed and breakfast rooms.
Oh, Mom!
Did I get you?
Yeah.
Marnie is making sure Casey's paper template is.
Good in the hood.
Tex is still preparing to lay a new subfloor. And Desmond has moved on to the gluing.
This is starting to sting my fingers already.
I'm probably spreading this on too thick.
It's way too thick because Des never uses the knot side of the trowel to scrape off the excess glue. When Des traced his paper template onto his vinyl, the vinyl was upside down.
Which way did it go? Jen, we did this backwards.
What are you talking? No. Oh my God.
Me.
Yes.
What went wrong was that when I transferred the paper cutout of what we needed to cut, I put it on the wrong side of the linoleum.
Tex is almost ready to lay his new subfloor, but instead of making it with plywood, he wants to use wall paneling.
Do you want that Brad gun thing?
Yes.
Tex is shooting headless brad nails into the panel, hoping to pin it in place.
Grab the air gun and boom, 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 and nail 4x8 sheets down.
Tex's lust for this power tool is kind of disturbing.
I need smoke after that.
When he's done shooting his load of headless nails, Tex still doesn't realize his wall panel subfloor won't stick to his old floor.
Unless it bubbled up overnight or something, my floor should be smooth as glass.
I should have laid plywood down on the whole floor.
Charmaine doesn't know what to do with her bad floor patch, so she glues right over it.
I really am ashamed of that part. Seems like I'm going more crooked as I go. Crown molding will hide it, but...
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, Mummy.
Oh dear, Mummy.
Not
I knew it. Ah! What are you doing in the
we
corner?
gotta lift it because we gotta swivel it.
And you wonder why I'm mental?
Oh, it ripped.
She's got a disaster on her hands.
Oh, look at that friggin' bubble.
Charmaine hasn't learned the details of flooring, but she has learned
I can't work with my daughter, you know.
Casey's making an enormous mess.
You got something stuck to your foot.
Casey's getting something stuck to every square inch of his fresh vinyl.
Only used on the brand new clean surface.
If it wasn't all gluey, Casey's floor would be fine.
It's a lot of hard work, and I don't think it's worth it.
You'd hire someone for this?
I'd still hire someone for this, yeah.
Dez isn't happy with his job.
Do you give yourself a pass or a fail on that job?
I give myself a fail.
Dez thinks he can do this project in his own home.
If I remember to flip over the original print, yes.
I don't know what to do.
Rita wants Joe to make a new template, then cut the vinyl. But all Joe hears is, cut the vinyl.
Joe, stop.
Cut the linoleum. Don't cut the linoleum.
I said,
Cut the linoleum. Don't cut it.
start all over.
Rita has had enough.
You gotta help me, man.
No chance of that.
You're not helping me. You cut me a piece of linoleum.
Joe's handiwork today may show that he's beyond rehabilitation.
Oh, bullet, what happened? I don't know, man. I did it brutal, man.
Joe's room needs some very hot accessories.
I was thinking a glass bottle, some gasoline, a rag, and wooden matches.
The next challenge for Canada's worst handymen is finishing their floors with carpet. Installing carpet is hardly
Rocket science. All you need are the tools and a little bit of patience.
This kicker is the only unfamiliar tool involved in carpet installation. As for unusual materials, our expert Jeff says this stuff revolutionized carpet laying back in the 1930s.
This stuff is called tackless.
Ironically, strips of tackless are covered in tacks. When you nail them to the floor, it's the carpet that can be laid tackless.
And this is what catches the back of the carpet. You want to set this up an inch and a half away from the wall. You want to bring your underpad up to the tackless.
The prongs on a strip of secured tackless are all angled towards the wall. That way, when the carpet is stretched to the point of tension, the nails bite into its back, locking the carpet in place. This is where the kicker comes into play.
This control on the back brings, if you can see, the teeth in and out.
When the teeth are set deep enough to go through the carpet fibers and just bite into the backing, place the kicker about 18 inches away from the wall.
And then your knee comes up and binds it, all right?
The more times you knee the kicker, the tighter your carpet will get.
You always cut carpet on the back, and you'll see that it cuts fairly easily. And then the next thing you got is some trim, so you get a nice finish.
This kind of edging goes wherever the carpet meets linoleum.
So it gives you a nice trim piece.
And that's the wall-to-wall coverage on carpeting.
Come on, let's go lay some carpet. Let's get out of here.
Carpet, baby.
Woo!
Ow.
Dez starts by measuring.
95 and a half and two little lines.
Charmaine begins by having doubts.
Welcome to insanity, Charmaine style.
And Joe
I gotta nail this tackless board down.
Joe actually begins this challenge correctly. See how easily Joe cuts his tackless, then nails it in place? That's the speed it should be done. Now let's look at Casey's technique.
Nice and slow.
What's nice about being slow? Casey strokes the saw back and forth enough times to start a fire, but he's not applying any pressure.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Just as time-consuming as Casey's sawing is his hammering. Casey needs to swing his steel 59 times to drive in this one tiny nail. And really, this is only the beginning, because Casey's tackless spikes are all angled the wrong way.
What's going on?
Small little mistake there. I put it in the wrong way.
Casey's not the only one who's wrong.
Ow.
After the break, carpeting continues.
Don't do that. No, this is what I think needs to be done. Hold on. Don't pull it out there. Joe!
The nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman are laying carpet in their personalized bed and breakfast rooms.
What? Not wide enough?
Not wide enough.
Okay, it's not wide enough.
While Charmaine thinks about how she's going to deal with her bad measuring,
Okay, let's not panic on this situation.
Joe is realizing his bad measuring.
Did we not say that this was 141?
No, this is 151.
And Desmond?
Oh, mother.
Desmond doesn't have a clue how, but his measurements also went bad.
I don't know. I don't. This is the stupid thing ever.
Okay, yeah, we did it a bit long, so that's okay. So, yeah.
Okay.
Wait. No.
While Des thinks, Casey seems destined to be the fourth mismeasurer.
How do you get your tape measure like that?
Go ahead, Andrew.
How do you do that?
I've never done that in my life.
Yeah, gonna get a limp spot there now.
Yeah.
Well, have fun carpeting.
All right.
Make accurate measurements.
I'll follow your lead if you want to just pull it.
But I don't know what we're doing with it, so I'll follow your lead.
Unrolled carpet gets so cumbersome,
So jump off.
it's almost impossible to move.
Ready? Watch this. Watch it. Hang on. I'm coming over here.
No, why? Okay.
Charmaine is wrestling with her rug.
What the hell is going on in here?
Des is in bunches.
So the carpet looks like this wide. This has been really hard to maneuver it around in here.
And Casey is drowning.
What do you want me to do?
It was like fighting with a shark. But I'm fighting with it, and I'm down with it, and it's got me up here. And kick the crap out of me.
It's not kicking anything out of Joe.
Can work.
This is what I think. Don't do that. No, this is what I think needs to be done. Hold on. Don't pull it out there. Joe!
Once Casey gets his carpet marked to the best of his ability, he cuts a piece that's too small.
Uh-oh.
What are you doing?
Got it the wrong way? Babe? You see what's happening here?
What's happening here is a $150 waste of carpet.
Is that the right piece? Then I cut the wrong side, so we now have to do a seam. So I already know this is not worth it.
Charmaine agrees.
Yep, this would be for a professional to do.
Professional carpet laying costs about 50 cents a square foot, which is so cheap, our expert says it isn't worth doing a house by yourself.
Oh, so you cut it from the back.
But seeing as installation bills start at a minimum of $200, Jeff says it is worth it to do a small room yourself. Jeff makes precise cuts, then knees his kicker to stretch the carpet in place. Above the vinyl floor, metal transition strips do the same job that this wooden quarter round does against the wall. The expert carpet job took 2.5 hours.
Well, at least we now have nice, comfy carpet to sit on and watch them.
Don't want to hurt myself. Oh, man. There's got to be another trick to this.
The trick to using the kicker is aggressively throwing your weight behind it.
Well, this is an uncomfortable job. Ow!
How about you place it and I'll kick it?
Do it again.
This is a joke with Jen and Des.
This doesn't seem to be doing.
I know.
Desmond's kick at carpeting doesn't work.
This is something that I would never do by myself or with one other unhandy person.
Speaking of unhandy,
Oops.
Is that right?
Charmaine's not close to being right.
Oh, you little bugger! Oh.
Charmaine's carpet is shagged.
I'm done. Oh, Lord have mercy.
To bend his transition strip, Casey uses a hammer and then a sledgehammer.
That is smooth.
That is bumpy.
Oh, yeah, I'll be calling the carpet installer next time around for sure.
Casey's carpet beat him badly.
It kicked my butt.
To make way for his thick shag, Joe the Bullet has to remove his door.
I have taken off doors before.
But never in broad daylight.
No, this is where you be quiet and put your balaclavas on.
Pardon?
At least I'm putting in the carpet. Tex is putting in the kitchen sink or something. Aye.
Band-Aid?
Oh, yes, Band-Aid. 911.
Peeled it right back, man. It doesn't tickle. Mother. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts.
It hurts to watch Tex start nails with his bad finger. So I bring him a preloaded hammer.
Have you seen the future of hammering?
Oh, my God.
Take that, it's got a magnet. You put it in there like that. Boom, there you're in.
Awesome. That's the neatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Now, if only they made a self-loading stapler.
The box was taped closed.
Tex finally begins laying his vinyl, but he shoots brad nails right through it. Tex's vinyl will leak like a sieve.
Tex, is it worth doing this kind of work?
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Joe the Bullet is not enjoying working with his sister.
I don't think you're trying to help. I think you're trying to be a today. You've taken it to another emotional level for some reason I don't know. I don't have a clue. But now I'm starting to get frustrated, and I don't want to be frustrated.
Is this job a pass or fail for you?
Oh, it's a fail for sure, man.
Carpeting took a big bite out of Joe.
Laying carpet, is it worth it?
No. Laying carpet's like getting chomped.
After the break, the nominees install peepholes and screw up locks.
What the happens there?
Security. It's critical in a bed and breakfast. So, the next challenge for Canada's worst handyman is to install one of these locks. And, as an added thought, we're gonna get them to put in one of these, peepholes, just so they can see who's coming.
The doors belonging to Joe, Tex, and Dez are all off their hinges.
We're gonna have to cut our door.
Oh.
Tex's old door was so badly damaged by his ridiculous removal techniques.
It's off.
He has to put in a brand new one.
Door's 28. The hole's 30.
So Tex begins assembling the door frame kit.
Okay, I'll hold it, you drill it. Dandy. 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 I said dandy, you shouldn't have given it more look.
Tara split the press board.
Come here, look.
Okay, I see it.
Then Tex splits it more.
There, I split it too now. Don't feel bad.
Tex's finished door frame is...
It's too tall. Which way you're turning it?
Just set it down. I did it. It's my fault. It's not your fault. Can't do nothing right.
Des can't get his door back on its hinges.
How the are we gonna get this up?
I showed Des how to use wedges to lift the door so Jenny can put the pins back in.
Making a total mess of this door.
Desmond thinks this lock is so simple, he doesn't read the directions, and he puts the lock in the wrong spot.
So that has to be moved over more.
Trying to move the clasp, Des strips his screws.
Where's that stripped? I wouldn't get stripped because it's Des. You gotta be kidding me. I can get this screw out. Not with anything.
Is it stripped that bad?
Yeah. Son of a...
That's the wrong drill bit you're using.
Really good. You. This was a full day event at my house. Full day event. And it's just awful.
Des is having a brutal time. Absolute brutal time.
Over in the tranquility room, Charmaine is also stripping screws.
This one's stripped. I'm never gonna get this screw out of here.
And she'll never get this bend out of her latch piece.
What the hell is wrong with this? You wanna try it before I lose my temper?
This should be done like that.
Over in Casey's room,
This is fun.
I'm fine.
the cop is not feeling cheery.
Look at me. I have problems even opening up the instructions, let alone putting the lock on.
As usual, Casey's wife, Marnie, shows him how it's done.
I'm following the directions.
Oh, I see what you're
Case.
saying. Okay.
And so I'm going to mark it.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Marnie's taking over again?
Yeah, why is Marnie working on it?
Jeff starts work on his peephole by marking both sides of the door with a tiny drill bit. Then he uses the larger drill bit.
Don't want to rip Joe's paper. And I don't want to burst through the other side of the door and make a mess.
Jeff's largest drill bit isn't quite large enough for the peeping device. So,
Have to give it a little bit of reaming.
the two-sided lens then simply screws together. The lock should be installed the same height as the peephole.
Lord, I said nice clean lines.
You know what? I'm going to pre-drill this so it doesn't crock.
That same wood-saving technique is used on the metal door while installing the latch piece.
Compare the difference. Des, by hand. Jeff. By drill.
Are you done?
Jeff is done. The peephole and the lock in 9 minutes.
We're done. Let's see how these guys are doing.
Nowhere close.
Trying to figure out where their peepholes go.
Locate on door at eye level.
Yeah.
For who? For me?
My eye level or yours? Mine. Dez's. Mine. Dez's.
Is this average height? That's average height, eh? We're totally...
That's above average height.
Is that...
That's good, though.
What's good about a peephole that's too tall to see through or work on?
Woo. Woo.
Oh, yeah, that should work, eh? That's good.
No, that's bad.
The bullet's off his game today. Look at that. Actually, Rita, just give me a hammer.
Why? You're not gonna hammer that in.
I'm going to hammer this part in.
These glass lenses should never be put under pressure or struck with any sort of a blunt object. Using your hand is bad.
No, it's not in.
Using a mallet is worse.
Give me that. I want to give her one, too.
And if you're swinging a sledgehammer, you should really be more gentle.
Needs a little lube, babe.
Casey's hold doesn't want lube. It wants a good reaming.
Just show me the part in the directions where it says bash it in with a sledgehammer.
Casey's perspective is so cockeyed, he doesn't even want to peep.
Well, look at me.
Yeah, I saw you already.
Casey, Charmaine, and Joe all fail the peephole challenge, while Desmond and Tex manage to pass.
Pressboard junk.
Tex hates his pressboard door frame.
Pressboard garbage, that's what it is. Ain't that just great to work with? Pressboard junk.
He's a rough carpenter, all right.
Tex.
How's it going for you?
Not good.
I offer to get Tex a new door frame.
As long as it's real wood, not pressboard.
Tex blames his framing failure on the pressboard.
Tell me what you really think of it.
It's dog compressed, and they make you believe it's wood.
The latch test is passed by Des, Casey, and Joe, but Charmaine can't get it together.
Are we done?
No, we're not done.
When we return, Tex leads the group challenge.
Oh my, I f***ing hate this.
The nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman have been pooling their talents together, trying to create a kitchen for their bed and breakfast. It hasn't been going so well.
Don't talk to me like you're a expert.
But they seem to like it.
A lot of work, but I was really proud of everybody. I thought we did a good job.
Today, the team is scheduled to completely finish their kitchen. To accomplish that, they must hook up their drain, install their stovetop, attach its hood, paint the walls, finish their cupboards, screw them together, hinge the doors, attach the handles, mount the Lazy Susan, deal with these gaps, edge their counter, trim the floor, and throw this piece of junk away. Tex is the foreman of today's monumental group challenge. He starts by getting Charmaine to paint, while Casey and Des handle the cupboards.
You're doing a good job because you suck.
That leaves Joe to help Tex plumb from the sink to the drain pipe in the basement.
Make sure your drill's on forward. That's backwards, Joe.
For sakes, man.
Tex needs Joe to drill straight through the cupboard.
Hey, don't touch me with that. What?
Then through the floor underneath.
Ow! Would you stop touching me with that?
To get through the floorboards,
Ow! I gotta keep stop touching that.
Tex puts a starter bit on his long extender, but it falls out.
That bit disappeared like a fart in the wind.
When he gets going again,
ow! Hot.
Tex predictably burns himself.
Hey!
Then runs into another avoidable problem.
Well, ain't that just great? There's a cast iron pipe right where I drilled that hole.
It's not cast iron, and it's not a pipe.
Might be a beam.
Looks like a beam to me.
Tex has always said that hiring a plumber isn't worth it.
As long as you're with me, you'll never pay somebody to do plumbing, as long as I get a say about it. Would you guys be oblivious to the fact that I want to get a plumber to do this? Can I get a plumber to do this?
No.
Why?
Because it's a handyman rehabilitation center. It's not a phone call center.
That's what I said.
So it's off to the basement.
Ah. If we bring the hole over, we just got to drill another hole, and we're going to come down here and we're going to tap into this.
As soon as Joe gets drilling again,
give her.
Tex stays busy pulling wall plugs, drilling cupboard handles, and installing the stove.
Installed.
Done.
Joe's done the new hole, which means Tex can feed up the new drain pipe, which should be exactly,
I don't know, 1.5 feet. So that'd be like,
Okay.
it's 18 inches, Joe.
Hold it there.
with the foreman in the basement.
Oh, yeah, that's a little bit higher than this one.
Casey has abandoned the cupboard handles.
I think that was a mistake.
So he can fill this gap with gobs and gobs of silicone.
You can't fill that with silicone.
Foreman said you could.
No one said to stick wooden doweling against the siliconed edge.
Trying to improvise, come up with an idea of some sort.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever in your life seen a piece of doweling?
Never.
In
Never.
In that position? Never?
Never.
So what does that tell you?
It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea.
Casey's next idea of using quarter-round trim is just as pointless.
It's in the corner.
No, it's not. I can push it still. Yeah, you little bugger. So do I wipe the excess off along the way, or do I wait a bit?
If you do want to wipe away excess silicone, cover your finger with dish detergent first. That way, it won't stick to you. But if your work looks like Casey's, just forget it. Tex manages to hook up to the drain pipe.
What's going on in basement world?
We got it all
Basement's world's done.
done.
That means it's time to install the sink. But the tiled hole is slightly too small.
I say we just hire somebody to finish the rest of the kitchen.
Tex still wants to get this sink in. The strip of metal that Tex is hell-bent on removing is a crucial part of any sink.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 you're bending the sink. Don't be so...
What is that thing you're pulling off?
Right now, it's the thing that's in my way.
And that's what you use to clamp it in place.
Tex leaves a few bits of the tie-down strip. Then he removes them too.
Time.
Tex and his team have been struggling for 5 hours, and the kitchen is still nowhere near completion.
We still gotta put this lazy Susan in.
Sadly, it's cutoff time. The kitchen to-do list is still far, far away from completion.
Oh my... I hate this.
After the break, we name this episode's worst handyman.
Bring it on.
You got a prediction?
Our experts here at the Handyman Rehabilitation Center
It's beyond gross.
are not known for their subtlety. Their constant focus on the negative
It's wishy-washy right now.
Doesn't impress me much.
has had a grating effect on Canada's worst handymen.
Well, a little bit of hope in there would be nice.
Last episode, Desmond couldn't take the criticism anymore.
You try your best and you get put down. Yeah, okay, I gotta go.
So, today, we thought it might help to build bridges if all the bad handymen went upstairs to the experts' room to see how their finished rooms should look.
Hey, guys. Hope you wiped your feet.
Same amount of time.
Yep.
Same tools. Same space. But
It's good.
please, check it out, please.
It's nice.
Any questions so we can answer? Anything you want to look at?
This room has a double-door closet, a practical shower area, and a rolling table that immediately impresses Charmaine.
I love it. That's ingenious.
But that's where the love-in stops.
I don't like the headboard.
I think this is hideous and that's hideous.
Seems like everything's too big. There's not going to be any space at all.
I'd like to see more artwork on the walls. It's too blah.
Yeah, I don't think this is the best room.
No?
No.
The complaints are all about personal style and taste.
I'm not a fan of wallpaper.
But the bad handymen do all realize this is the way it should be done.
Would you ever stay in this room?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course. Look at my room. I'd pack today.
To determine the worst handyman for this episode, the experts and I begin our final inspection with Casey, who's learned he doesn't like handiwork.
I'm thinking handiwork's not my thing.
Is that right?
I'm thinking that.
Plans of building a house?
Gone.
You like carpeting?
No.
No.
No. It's not for me. Have you seen my hands?
Instead of being proud of all these war wounds, Casey's ashamed.
Not much physical work on these hands.
After 7 episodes, Joe the Bullet's work is still way too rough around the edges.
Joe, buddy, what are we going to do with you?
I don't know, maybe I gotta go to summer school.
Carpet went how?
Terrible.
And linoleum?
Worse.
Like the whole room, honest to God, it's ridiculous. Red, 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 reds. Anyone that comes here is gonna go crazy in here.
Anyone who walks around in here is going to go through the floor.
Well, don't stand too far.
Oh, my heel just went through. God.
Desmond doesn't want to witness today's final inspection.
You ready to be shot in the head?
During his kick at flooring,
Jen, we did this backwards.
Desmond never got his carpet secured to the tackless strips because his underlay is covering them.
You have to be aware of what's going on underneath the carpet as well as on top of the carpet.
Tex is confused by his bubbling subfloor.
Your nails let go. So this is not going to last very long at all.
Well, no. Is there any way to save this at this stage?
No, there's no way to save this at this stage.
Charmaine's carpet is butchered.
I cut it wrong and I have a seam.
Her screws are stripped.
I'm never gonna get this screw out of here.
And her vinyl is as fragile as a baby.
That's my soft spot.
Yeah, and that's not going to last very long at all.
No, I realize that.
It's time to choose the worst handyman for this episode.
Jeff, worst.
Casey.
You'd think Jeff would be most offended by Casey's gluey linoleum, or his dented edging, or his silicone-encrusted quarter round. But
what bothered me is what he said, that he was giving up.
And for you, that defeatist mentality makes him the worst?
Yes.
My vote's not based on attitude.
Charmaine's the worst. The linoleum, I'm sorry, but it's got bumps in it. It doesn't meet the door correctly. It's terrible. Carpet, cut in half. Peephole, higher than her own head.
Jeff still thinks it's Casey.
Then you talk about carpets being cut wrong. He cut his carpet wrong. His wife had to put in the door set. His peephole is crooked.
Who do you have? You break this tie.
Well, I don't know, because I'm torn between both of them.
We've reached the end of our 7th episode, which means next episode, it's all going to be over. And we're going to name Canada's worst handyman. Now it's time to honor the most improved handyman for this episode.
No one installed any flooring correctly, so this episode's most improved is more like the least worst. And that person is Desmond.
Really? Absolutely. Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Which brings me to the worst. And this one is, you ready for it, Casey?
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
You got a prediction? The person who is the worst this episode, well, they just didn't seem to really make the cut.
Oh, yeah, it's me. See, I deserved it. I wrecked the carpet.
Please hang your head in shame.
There we go.
Everybody else, you're all free to go. We'll see you tomorrow. Charmaine, you and I have some homework.
Yeah, baby. Yes.
While putting on her door lock, Charmaine made it clear that she doesn't understand the clutch settings on her drill. So,
check it out.
It's beautiful.
It's Screw World.
Charmaine's going to drive in all these screws.
But along the way, you're going to figure out and understand how the clutch on this baby works.
Okay.
Okay?
Charmaine starts on the maximum clutch setting.
And it goes.
That's going to help.
Like, go to the polar opposite. Spin that thing all the way to 1.
With the clutch set at its lowest, the drill's turning mechanism is designed to fail and stop screwing under the slightest tension.
Perfect.
Go up to 8.
Too much.
Ooh, we're going to 7. Lucky number 7.
Honing in on it.
I get it. This is cool.
Did you realize your drill could do this?
No, I had no idea.
Now, if we could only get you to measure.
Yeah, well, that's my next project. Nobody can get me to measure properly.
On the next and final episode of Canada's Worst Handyman, the nominees punch in their biggest day yet.
Joe the Bullet Barbero cleans up.
Getting this bed and breakfast ready for its very first guests.
Canada's Worst Handyman, your guests are here.
In the end, we'll know the identity of this nation's lousiest amateur home renovator.
Canada's Worst Handyman is?
Would you stop touching me with that?